Have you ever stopped to think about how a massive global company, one with offices all over the world, actually knows if it's making money? I mean, it sounds like a simple question, but it is a ridiculously huge challenge. So that's what we're going to unpack today, how modern companies are finally taming all that financial chaos.
Okay, so before we get to the really cool solution, you got to understand just how messy this problem is. We're talking about a level of complexity that can, and often does, spiral completely out of control. So let's break it down with a simple example. Picture a company that sells bikes. That's it. But they operate in Germany, selling in euros, and they also operate in the United States, selling in dollars. Right there, you've got two countries, two currencies, two totally different sets of tax laws. Now, just imagine scaling that up to a company that's in 100 countries. How on earth do you get one single, clear picture of what's going on?
And yeah, this right here, this is the daily nightmare for these big companies. You've got a constant storm of transactions, currencies that are always fluctuating, and all these different legal entities, each with its own set of rules they have to follow. In the old days, all this data was just scattered everywhere, in totally separate systems. It was pure, unadulterated financial chaos. So, how in the world do you start to fix this? You can't just throw all that data into a blender and hope for the best. You need a system. You need a structure. And the very first step is to draw a really clear map of the entire financial organization.
The bedrock of this whole system, the fundamental building block, is this one really powerful idea. In the world of big enterprise software like SAP, it's called a company code. Just think of it as the smallest possible piece of the puzzle that you can create a complete, legal, standalone set of financial books for. The easiest way to wrap your head around it is this. One company code equals one legally independent company. So if your corporation has a business in France and another one in Japan, each of those gets its very own company code. It's like the official container for that one entity's entire financial world. So let's go back to our bike company. This makes it super clear. The German operation, that's company code 110. The US business, that's company code 1710. See? They're separate, they're distinct, they follow all their own local rules, but, and this is the key, they both live inside the same big system.
All right, so we've got our building blocks. We've defined our German company and our US company. But how do we actually link them up so we don't end up with that old disconnected mess? How do we build that single, reliable structure we've been talking about?
Well, let's just peek back at how things used to be. Imagine a gigantic library where every single department has its own separate book. The sales team has one, the purchasing team has another, the asset team has a third. You get the picture. If you wanted to see the whole story, you had to run around, collect all these different books, and just pray that the numbers actually matched up. It was slow, it was painful, and it was almost always full of errors. But the modern way of doing things, it's a total game changer. It's all built around this incredibly powerful concept called the Universal Journal. So forget that whole library of different books. Instead, I want you to picture one single, massive, all-powerful book for the entire company. And that right there, that's the magic phrase, a single source of truth. This is the core idea. Every single thing that happens in the business that has any kind of financial impact, from selling a $10 bike part to buying a $10 million factory, every single one of those events gets recorded in this one central place.
Okay, that sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? How does all this activity from all over the world actually make its way into this one central book?
Well, you can think of it like this. All roads lead to the journal. A customer in Germany buys a bike, bam. That sale is instantly recorded in what they call receivables management, which is really just a fancy way of saying tracking the money people owe you. Then, the US office pays the supplier for some handlebars, bam. That payment gets recorded in payables management, or, tracking the money you owe other people. They buy a new machine for the factory, it gets logged in asset accounting. So money coming in, money going out, new investments, it all flows into the same central ledger, and it happens in real time. So, we've gone through all this trouble. We've built this incredible unified system. What's the big payoff? Why does having this single source of truth actually matter so much? Well, it all comes down to this. At the end of the day, every single one of those legal entities, our German company, our US company, is required by law to produce official financial statements. We're talking about things like a balance sheet or a profit and loss statement. And here's the kicker. They have to be perfect. And this table just lays out the transformation beautifully. What used to take finance teams weeks of agonizing work, chasing down numbers, trying to make different books match, can now be done instantly. You go from having this fragmented, blurry picture of your business to a crystal clear, holistic view. And that means if sales for a new bike model suddenly tank in Germany, you see it today, not in some report that comes out 2 weeks from now. You can react immediately, find the problem, and fix it before it turns into a total disaster. That is the real power here. So it really all boils down to the power of one universal journal, one source of truth. And what that gives you is one unified, real-time view of your entire company's financial health, no matter how huge or how complicated it gets. And that kind of leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. If creating a single source of truth for financial data was this revolutionary, what's next? What other area of business is just waiting for this kind of transformation? Is it customer data? Supply chain data? What do you think is the next big frontier for this incredibly powerful idea? Okay,